Welcome. This is Brenda Harris greeting you in the precious name of Jesus. Thank you so much for stopping by today. It just amazes me how people can be corrupt. I know I shouldn't be so amazed, but when I see it with my own eyes, it's very upsetting. My mom and I were talking about the time that she was being hoodwinked by this dealership she went to. She had bought this particular brand of car for many years and really liked it, and she wanted to get a new one. So they gave her a ride while she was waiting on the new order to come in, and she had traded her car in for a new one there. And she told them what all she wanted and everything. And they gave her a nice car to ride around in, and the model that she wanted. They wrote up the contract, and whenever the new car came in, she was going to go over there and pick it up. She asked me to go with her. When we went over there, we noticed that it was not the model that she ordered. It was a model that was like $10,000 cheaper. So they were trying to pull a fast one on her. We were discussing this and talking about how many elderly people they probably have done a scam on. And I told that man that was out there with us, the salesman, I said, this is not the model she ordered. This one is about a $10,000 cheaper model. And he looked really funny. And then we went back in the back area, and he went and talked to someone. And they came out and talked with us. And I said, you better make this right. Otherwise, I'm going to go to the Attorney General in Oklahoma City and report you and file a complaint. And Mama said he turned pale. But then they said they'd make it right. But you know what happened along the way? I know that God had a hand in protecting my mom. They sent my mom the title to the ride that they had given her. So she went over there before all this happened, and she got the extra key for that car. And then the day came she was supposed to go talk to the manager, the person over the dealership about what happened. But the thing of it is, the things that she had requested on the car that she ordered, he had not done anything like that. And so Mom, of course, was very upset. She told him, she says, well, I'll just keep the car that you gave me. And he said, what? And she said she had received the title in the mail. It was the model that she wanted originally, but the reason why she wasn't going to take it is because it had a couple of things on it that she had not ordered in her original order. So that's why she was waiting on the car that she had ordered. But the car that they sent the title on was a very nice car, and the year she wanted and everything about it, except the items that she had placed on order. But when she told that manager about it, he just really looked like he was in shock. He was in utter shock. He couldn't do a thing about it. We were talking about how many women they have probably bamboozled or scammed, and they didn't know the difference. But we knew the difference. And so we left, and so Mama didn't lose $10,000 on a car. What she did is she didn't want to deal with those people anymore, so she went to another dealership and got a different brand of car, and they've been pretty good. But it seems like most of the dealerships out there, they want to get you in there, and then once they get you in for an oil change or whatever, then they want to say this and this and this and this is wrong with the car, and we're going to charge you this and this and this amount to fix it, right? Have you noticed that? Well, we were talking about that, and that made me think about that story in the book of Daniel, chapter 5. Remember when old Nebuchadnezzar wouldn't acknowledge that God was the ultimate God, the one true God, and beside him there is no other God? Well, a curse came upon him, and he had to spend about 7 years out on the pasture land eating grass like the cattle, until finally he acknowledged that God was the one God. And then his son comes along, and he takes over the kingdom, and he's filled with pride, and he throws this big, huge banquet. And they're using the goblets that belonged in the temple, and the temple of God had all these beautiful goblets in there, and I believe they were made of gold. And they were drinking out of those goblets that they were not allowed to do. And they were giving praise to other gods. They were doing a horrendous thing before the eyes of God. And they were sitting there enjoying themselves greatly, drinking out of those goblets that they weren't supposed to drink out of. And then this big, huge hand started writing on the wall. They were being judged. But that Belshazzar, that Nebuchadnezzar's son, the one that took over the kingdom, he turned pale. His knees began knocking. And he knew something bad was happening. So, I mean, what would you do if you saw a big, huge hand starting writing on the wall? I think I'd be a little concerned too. But the queen told him about this man named Daniel that was able to interpret dreams and had the wisdom of the gods, is what she told him. So they called Daniel in, and this is what happened. Daniel told Belteshazzar, "But you, his son, old Belshazzar, have not humbled yourself, though you knew all this. Instead, you have set yourself up against the Lord of heaven. You had the goblets from his temple brought to you, and you and your nobles, your wives and your concubines, drank wine from them. You praised the gods of silver and gold, of bronze, iron, wood, and stone, which cannot see or hear or understand, but you did not honor the God who holds in his hand your life and all your ways. Therefore, he sent the hand that wrote the inscription." This is the inscription that was written. Mene, mene, tekel parsin. This is what these words mean. Mene, God has numbered the days of your reign and brought it to an end. Tekel, you have been weighed on the scales and found wanting. Peres, your kingdom is divided and given to the Medes and Persians. Then that night he was slain. And that makes me think about the corruption that's taken place. And it's taken place in our government, in our nation. And we can see it taking place in the towns that we live in different businesses. And It says, you have been weighed on the scales and found wanting. I believe that's what's going to be taking place in our government. And have you been seeing those videos about those 6 Congress people that came out on that video and told the military not to obey Trump? They said that his commands were illegal. Well, you know what? I think fear is going to come all over them. I really do. I think it's going to happen like happened to Belshazzar. The fear of God is going to come all over them when they're going to realize that they did the wrong thing. Because when you come out and tell the military not to obey the president, you're committing treason. You're committing seditious treason. Because Trump is the commander-in-chief over all of the military. He's over all of them. And Trump isn't going to be telling them something illegal. They're trying to say it's illegal for Trump to send troops into the cities. But all of these people that are trying to cause trouble in these cities need to be taken down, and that's what President Trump is going to do. He's going to take down the people that are committing crimes in these cities. But I tell you what, we want to stay with God, and we don't want to go against Him, because we don't want to be weighed in the scales and found wanting, do we? I sure don't. I want to have a healthy fear for God, our Creator, the one who created the universe, the one who created our very souls. In the mighty name of Jesus, stay true to God.